Very good morning to everyone. Welcome to ITLS Academy. Myself, Advocate Priyanka, and today we are going to talk about the unanticipated risk in clinical research in the series of clinical research and regulatory affairs video. So let's start. But before starting to today's topic, we will just see a very light recap of the our previous video. That was the data management in clinical trials. So in that video, we have particularly talked about that what is the clinical data management, then why clinical data management is required, who are the members of CDM team, and what are their responsibilities. CDM team, it is a clinical data management. Then what are the clinical data management stages? That means how it works. So clinical data management is basically the process to manage the all subject data of clinical trials. As you all know that in any clinical trial or in any clinical research, there are requirement of research participants that will act as their subject for that particular research. So obviously there will have lots of data regarding to them like their age, their sex, their contact details, their medical history, all these things must be there. So it is very crucial and very important to manage all the details, and that's why this complete system, that is clinical data management, is required, and it is the very important aspect of the whole clinical research. So I have talked about all these things in previous video. If you want or you want to recap, you can go and watch that previous video. I have talked about the stages of clinical data management also in the previous video. So I will just give a very short brief. Like there are 5 stages in clinical data management. First is protocol design. Obviously, when we start anything, we first make the planning. So that is protocol design. Then data entry, that when participants are coming, then at that level there is first data entry level. It is done by the paper and e-system both. I have explained all these things in the very detailed. You can see there. Then third stage is data validation. Then it is seen that okay, what data are entered, are they right, or is there any discrepancy? So all these data are validated. Then data is logged after the final validation, like okay, all data are correct and accurate. Then these data are logged, and then it further goes for the analysis and the reporting of that analysis. So it was all about our previous talk. So today we will now we will move to our today's topic, that is unanticipated risk in clinical research. So there are few contents for this topic. Like first we will see what is unanticipated risk. Then second we will see that what is unanticipated risk in clinical research, which is our actual topic. And then what is adverse event, and we will also see that is there any difference between adverse event and unanticipated risk. Yes, there is a difference. There is a very thin line difference that we have to understand. Then what are the types of adverse event? After that, we will see that who is the regulatory body of adverse event reporting and how to determine type of adverse event. And then at last, we will see that how to determine reporting of adverse event is essential or not. That means there are various types of adverse event. So we will see that is it necessary to report all the adverse event to the regulatory body or it is not. So we will see that also, and then we will see that how to assess that it is required or it is not required. So first we will see that what is the unanticipated risk. As we all know, meaning of unanticipated is not expected or predicted. Like something happens suddenly to you which you have not expected. Then risk. Risk is the situation that can have bad result. As we all say that in this work there is some risk. That means we know that because of this work there may be some worse situation or some bad situation you can say. So see here I have taken an image. Obviously it is from the Google. So one person is relaxing in the sea. So here he is aware that in which reason he is relaxing near the beach, that reason it is that reason whales or sharks this don't come. But what happens? Suddenly one whale comes. So this is the unanticipated. That means it was not expected or it was not predicted. Then what is the risk? When it comes, there is risk, there is possibility that that whale or shark will take that person inside the sea. So this is the very common example, or you can say this is the example to understand as a layman that what is the unanticipated risk. Now we will see that what is the unanticipated risk in clinical research. As we understood that what is unanticipated risk, that means unexpected risk. So in clinical research, as since starting we are talking about the clinical research and clinical trials, human participants are involved. So when human participants are involved, obviously there is risk for the chances of any type of physical problem, any type of psychological problem. So is that problem predicted earlier when research was started that okay, because of this drug or because of this medical device, this problem can happen? So was it expected or was it not expected? If it was expected, then it was anticipated risk. But when it was not expected, then obviously it is unanticipated risk in clinical research. So, an unpredicted situation or outcome related to ongoing that shows that subjects or others are at a greater risk of physical, psychological, economic, or social harm than previously recognized or analyzed situation or outcome. So, we have seen that unanticipated is not expected. That's why in clinical research also what was previously recognized or previously analyzed that okay, this situation may can happen, may arise, this was not expected situation came suddenly. Now we will take an example related to clinical research to understand that what is the unanticipated risk in clinical research. So see, a clinical research for treating migraine completely expecting elevation in mood swing only, but a later stage it's showing the risk of brain cancer. So here any clinical research is going on for the treating migraine. So what was expected in this research? In this research, it was expected that participants or subjects in the term of clinical research, they may experience mood swings. But at some point, researchers felt that no, it is not only about the mood swings. They are at the risk of brain cancer also because of this medicine. So this was completely unaccepted. It was not ever expected from, and it was not ever written in the any protocol or any informed consent. Even researchers were also not aware of this result. Obviously, if they were aware of this result, they will not proceed for the clinical research or they will not get the green flag for the to the continue this clinical research. So at some point they see that they expect that okay, it can happen. So at what that point when they expect that it can happen, that is the unanticipated risk in the clinical research. Now what is the adverse event? As we are talking about the unanticipated risk, so we will talk about the adverse event also. Adverse event is if we you just memorize the first one example. We are talking about the what you say about the that person relaxing on the sea beach. So if we take that example, in that example, there are two things. First, welcome, and then second result, that is they can I mean, well can take that person inside the sea. So when that whale comes, it is an unexpected incident, that is adverse event, like it was not expected. See, here also there are 2 points that adverse event is always not like that unexpected, it is sometimes expected also. So we will see that also in the later stage. So for now, adverse event is an unexpected incident, experience or outcome that is related to participation in the study and suggests that subjects or others at a greater risk of physical, psychological, economic or social harm than previously recognized. So this is the event. Now, what is the difference in risk and adverse event? Yeah, as we are talking about our first example. So when whale is coming, it is the adverse event. And what is the risk of that? Risk of that whale will take that person inside the sea. So see, it is a very thin line difference between the adverse event and risk. Event is the incident and risk is the output of, or you can say outcome of that incident. So always risk comes after the adverse event. Now we will see our example for which we have taken for the clinical research for treating migraine. Here you see there are two words, later stage, but at later stage it is showing risk of, second word is brain cancer. So here later stage it adverse event, that is that incident when they knew, and brain cancer is the risk because of, I mean after this stage it can happen or it may happen, this risk may happen, the risk of brain cancer. So I hope now it is clear to you all that what is the adverse event and that what is the difference between risk and adverse event. Now what are the types of adverse event? There are two types of adverse event. In previous slide, I told you that adverse event is not always unanticipated. Sometimes it is anticipated also. So on that basis, there are two types of adverse event. Adverse events that are not unanticipated problems. Adverse events that are already expected and have anticipated problems mentioned in research protocol and informed consent. Like here in example, a clinical research for treating migraine completely expecting elevation in mood swing. So this elevation in mood swing is a adverse event but not unanticipated problem. Now another is adverse event whereas which results in unanticipated problems. So it, but at a later stage, it is showing risk of brain cancer. So this is the adverse event where this risk was not anticipated. So this is adverse events that are unanticipated problems. Now there is a third type of adverse event also, or you can say mm, a different category of unanticipated problems that are not adverse event. So earlier we talked about adverse events that are unanticipated, adverse events that are not unanticipated. But here we are saying that unanticipated problems are there, but they are not adverse events. Events in research that are unexpected in nature, severity, or frequency and suggest a greater risk of harm to participants other than previously recognized. They are distinct from adverse events which are specifically medical or physical occurrence. So, in the terminology of clinical research, there are some events which are giving the unanticipated problems, but it is not associated with the some specific medical or physical conditions. It is associated to the some social or economic harm. So here it is important to be clear that there are problems, but they are not adverse events because they are not related to some medical issues. But obviously, they are problems and this need to be reported. So we will see in our later slides that what needs to be reported and what is not required to be reported. So here, like for this example, lamp. So if any research is going on, just for our example, like research is going for the treating migraine, there are some database obviously which is managed by the clinical data management members. So in that database, if system is hacked or system is stolen, then obviously it will cause data breach. It will compromise the data privacy of the participants. So here there is no, you can say there is no problems associated to medical or physical occurrence, but obviously their private data are compromised. It can be used in the wrong way, so there are problems. So these are, in the terminology of clinical research, these are not adverse events, but these are unanticipated problems. Now, who is the regulatory body for reporting of unanticipated risk? So regulatory body for reporting of unanticipated risk are Office of Human Research Protection, OHRP. The OHRP is leadership in the protection of the rights, welfare and well-being of human subjects involved in research conducted or supported by the US Department of Health and Human Services. So it is basically for the, it is basically regulatory body in the USA. OHRP is part of the Office of Assistant Secretary for Health in the Office of the Secretary of HHS. And which regulation is applicable here? Regulations of HHS, that is Health and Human Services, Act 45 CFR Part 46. So this 45 CFR Part 46. This is basically regulation which regulates the unanticipated risk in clinical research. Now, next is that as we talked, that there are so many problems, anticipated, unanticipated, and obviously anticipated problems needs not to be reported, but unanticipated problems need to be reported. So we will see that which is need to be reported and which is not need to be reported. I have taken this image which is given on the HHS website. You can also go and see there. So here it is defined in three circles. See, first circle A, it is a very big, then C, and compared to that B is very small. So in A, what events are coming? In A, there are coming adverse events that are not unanticipated problems. In B, it is coming adverse events that are anticipated problems. And then in C, these are unanticipated problems that are not adverse events. We have seen all these 3 points in our previous slides. So now we will see that which is required to be reported and which is not required to be reported. Obviously, they are adverse event, but that were already anticipated. That means they were not unanticipated problems. It was already informed in the consent form and all the things. So this doesn't need to be reported. But for the B and for the C, it is required to report under 45 CFR Part 46. Now we will see that how will we determine that problems are unanticipated problems and need to be reported. Okay, you got it that these are, we need to report the unanticipated problems. But how will you determine that these problems are unanticipated? So for this, to assess this question that what problems are unanticipated problems, answer of this question is hidden in the answer of another three questions. So what is the first question for this? First we will see that is the adverse event unexpected or was it expected? Then second we will see that is the adverse event related or possibly related to participants in the research. That means was it related to the participants in research or it was different? Then third, does the adverse event suggest that research placed subject or others at a greater risk of harm that was previously known or recognized? So all these things we will first analyze through all these three questions, and if answer of all these three is yes, 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 then obviously these are unanticipated problems and these problems need to be reported to the regulatory authority. And it is under the HS regulation at 45 CFR 46.103A and 46.103B5. Now, there is another question arising here that you got it that okay, these are the unanticipated problems, but to analyze your questions that what are the anticipated problems, we have to analyze three questions given below. So how will you analyze? So to analyze that three questions, we will have to do assessment of that three questions. First question is that is the adverse event unexpected? To analyze this, we will have to see that is this problem was mentioned in protocol related documents like any informed consents or any you can say IRB approved research protocol or uh, I mean any other relevant source like something if it is missed in the protocol or in informed consent. So was it mentioned in some the labeling of that particular medicine or that particular device? If yes, then obviously it is not unanticipated. Second, that was it expected that natural progression of any underlying disease of any person, like someone has some other problem other than the migraine, and because of that long problems, there may be chances of that he can have brain cancer. So in that case, if also answer is yes, then obviously that it is not unexpected, it was expected. Then second question was like, is the adverse event related or possibly related to participation in the research? So first we will have to find that what is the procedure involved in the research. And then we will have to say that, okay, like due to this procedure, was it, and that disease, that particular unanticipated problem, or you can say that particular problem arose due to because of this procedure. If yes, then obviously it is the unanticipated risk. Then second, was there any underlying disease as we discussed earlier? If not, then obviously it is unanticipated risk. If yes, then it is not anticipated, not unanticipated risk. Then third, other sorry, other circumstances related to either the research or any underlying disease, disorder, or condition of the subject. So, was any other circumstances that can arise this problem because of that this problem may arise? So, if answer is no, then obviously it is the unanticipated risk. So if answer is partially yes for one, it would be considered related to the participation in the research, even it is partially yes. Whereas adverse events determined to be solely caused by two or three would be considered unrelated to participation in the research. So this is how we will analyze the analyze our second question. Then we have to analyze our third question that so in just in simple terms, that is this risk is serious. So OHRP defines some serious adverse events as an adverse event. So first is result in death, that it may result in death, or it is life threatening, or it results in inpatient hospitalization, it results in persistent or significant disability, or it results in birth effect. So if there is anything among this, then obviously it is the serious event, serious adverse event. So this is how we will assess our three questions which are required to assess that Was it an anticipated risk or was it not an anticipated risk? So there is one flowchart also given here. You can see it is also from the HHS website. That first is you will have to see that is adverse event only for 1 or 2% or is it for the group of person. If it is for the group of person, then only we will proceed with our next questions. That if the adverse event expected in nature, severity or frequency, like if that adverse event was expected, that will it be severe like this or will it be its frequency will be like this, what is expecting now. If answer is no, that it was not expected, then obviously uh, it will be not reported as an unanticipated, unanticipated. Then if its answer is yes, then second question will arise, that is the adverse event related or possibly related to participation in the research? If yes, then we will go to the next question. If it is no, then obviously it will be not come in the adverse event. Then third question is that does the adverse event suggest that the research places subjects or others at greater risk of physical or psychological harm than was previously known or recognized? If yes, then you will give the conclusion. If no, then obviously it is not the adverse event which has an unanticipated, not an unanticipated problem. And if answer for all these three questions is yes, then obviously it is the adverse event as an unanticipated problems and it's need to be reported under 45 CFR part 46. Now, what are the timelines? Obviously, like if any investigator gets that, okay, this is the unanticipated risk in our clinical research, then what is the timeline to report to it to the proper authority? So, as per the OHRP recommendation, adverse event which have serious anticipated problems should be reported within 1 week of the investigator becoming aware of the event. Other than this, all should be reported within 2 weeks. In general, if we say, then all unanticipated problems should be reported to appropriate office within 1 month, and it depends on the severity of that problem. So basically, you can remember that if it is very severe, 1 week, after that 15 days, and overall it is 1 month. So this is the timeline to report unanticipated problems. Now next question is that is there any regulatory body for unanticipated risk and adverse event in India? Yes, it is there. It is Drugs Controller General of India. In India, unanticipated problems or adverse events in clinical research are reported to the Drugs Controller General of India (DCGI) via the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. For any unanticipated problem or adverse events in the clinical trials, the CDSCO, under the guidance of the DCGI, serves the Central Regulatory Authority for reporting and monitoring. So this is the basically regulatory body of for unanticipated risk in clinical research in India, and it was all about the unanticipated risk. Not we can say that all about it was the overview of unanticipated risk in the clinical research. Every time there is some space for the more learning for any particular topic. So it was you can say overview to give you the understanding of that what is the um, unpredictable risk or unanticipated problems in the adverse event, what are the regulating bodies. So I hope all things are clear to you all, but if still there is any doubts, you can write in the comment section. If you have any doubt for any previous video also, you can write in the comment section. I will definitely come with the problem solving sessions. And then in next session we will see, not in next video we will see about the regulation of drugs and biologics products by the FDA. It is going to be fun because we will see that how which medicines we are taking, how it is, how it how it comes to us, what are the regulations behind coming to the market. So all these things we will see. So stay connected. And thank you so much. And I just acknowledge all the Google images and the free resources, study resources, which I have taken to prepare this material. Till then, thank you so much. And don't forget to follow ITLS Academy. And please subscribe the YouTube channel for ITLS Academy also. Thank you so much for the watching. Thank you. Bye.